It was an ordinary autumn day when Luna's life changed forever. The wind whirled colorful leaves through the air, while her mother Katharina stood in the kitchen, and the scent of freshly baked apple pie filled the entire house. Luna, just 10 years old at the time, sat at the kitchen table doing her homework while her mother hummed as she prepared the dough for a second pie. "Mom, can you help me with this math problem?" Luna asked, absent-mindedly chewing on her pencil. Katharina wiped her flour-covered hands on her apron and came over to her daughter. The scent of vanilla and cinnamon enveloped them like a warm blanket. "Of course, sweetheart." Katharina smiled and leaned over the math book, but suddenly she stopped. Her hand clutched her chest, her eyes widening in pain. Luna immediately noticed something was wrong. "Mom?" she asked fearfully. Katharina tried to answer, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, she slowly sank to the floor, her face contorted in pain. Luna jumped up from her chair, panic rising within her. "Mom, what's wrong?" She knelt beside her mother, who lay breathing heavily on the kitchen floor. With trembling hands, Luna grabbed the phone and dialed emergency services, just as her parents had taught her. The next few minutes blurred into a whirl of sirens, strange voices, and frantic activity. Paramedics filled the small kitchen, speaking to each other in short, technical sentences and working feverishly on her mother. Luna stood frozen in the corner, unable to comprehend what was happening. Her father Marcus came home minutes later, alarmed by Luna's desperate call. He held his daughter while they both helplessly watched the paramedics fight for Katharina's life. But it was too late. Katharina had suffered a massive heart attack, which even the swift medical help couldn't overcome. She died there on the kitchen floor, surrounded by the scent of apple pie still baking in the oven. The days following Katharina's death blurred in Luna's memory into a foggy veil of tears and grief. She remembered the funeral, the many people in black, the sympathetic looks and well-meant words that didn't reach her. She remembered her father, trying to be strong but crying at night when he thought Luna was asleep. Aunt Victoria, Marcus's sister, was their salvation in those first weeks. She came every day, cooking, cleaning, and ensuring that daily life somehow continued. She was also the one who helped Luna survive the first nights without her mother, who held her when the grief became overwhelming. The loss of her mother left a void that felt like a black hole. Luna missed the morning hugs, baking together on weekends, the way her mother said, "Good night, my darling," and kissed her forehead. All these little moments she had taken for granted were now irretrievably lost. At school, Luna tried to be brave, but her teachers and classmates noticed the change. The once cheerful, bright girl became quiet and withdrawn. She spent breaks looking at old photos of her mother in her notebook, while her classmates played in the schoolyard. On some days, when the pain was particularly strong, Luna would sneak into her parents' bedroom and open her mother's closet. She would bury her face in Katharina's clothes, which still smelled like her, and for a brief moment, she could pretend her mother was still with her. The months following Katharina's death dragged on like thick syrup. Marcus, once a cheerful and energetic man, moved through the house like a shadow of his former self. During the day, he lost himself in his work as an architect. In the evenings, he often sat for hours in front of Katharina's photo in the living room, a glass of whiskey in his hand. Luna observed the change in her father with growing concern. She missed not only her mother but also the father he once was, the man who rode bikes with her, told silly jokes, and carried her on his shoulders through the park. Now he barely seemed to notice her, lost in his own world of grief. During this time, Aunt Victoria became the anchor of their small, broken family. She came by every morning before heading to her job as a nurse, made Luna breakfast, and helped her get ready for school. After school, she picked Luna up and took her to her house, where they did homework and cooked together until Marcus came home from work. "You know," Victoria said to Luna one day while they were peeling potatoes together, "your mother would be so proud of you. You're so brave." Luna felt tears welling up in her eyes. "But Dad isn't," she whispered. "He barely looks at me anymore." Victoria put down the peeler and hugged her niece. "Your dad is trapped in his pain, little one, but it won't stay this way forever. We need to give him time. Time passed, but Marcus's condition worsened. He began losing himself in work, coming home later and later. Some evenings his breath smelled of alcohol, and Luna quickly learned to avoid him then. The homework they used to do together, she now did alone or with Victoria's help. At school, Luna battled her own demons. Her grades, once above average, began to slip. The teachers were understanding, but Luna felt their worried glances. Her friends tried to cheer her up, invited her to birthday parties, but Luna felt like an outsider in their carefree world. It was Victoria who finally took initiative. One Sunday morning, she came by unannounced and found Marcus hungover on the couch. "That's enough now," she said in a voice that brooked no argument. "You're not the only one who lost Katharina. Your daughter needs you." This confrontation was the turning point. Marcus started therapy and joined a grief support group. Slowly, very slowly, he returned to life. He began eating regular meals with Luna again, asked about her day, tried to be the father she needed. Luna also began therapy. There, she learned that grief isn't a straight line but an up and down of good and bad days. She started keeping a diary where she wrote letters to her mother. It helped her maintain a connection to Katharina without staying trapped in the past. 2 years after Katharina's death, a new routine had developed. Marcus no longer drank and worked normal hours. Luna had improved her academic performance and slowly found her way back to her old strength. The wound left by Katharina's death would never fully heal, but they both learned to live with the scar. Victoria remained their faithful supporter, even after the acute crisis had passed. She was the one who insisted that Katharina's birthday and death anniversary should be marked, not with silent mourning but with shared memories. She taught Luna how to bake Katharina's famous apple pie and told stories from her mother's youth. The difficult years had changed Luna and Marcus, but they had survived. They had learned that family means more than blood relations, and that love sometimes means accompanying someone through their darkest hours. They weren't the same people they were before Katharina's death, but they had grown stronger, together and individually. It began on an ordinary Thursday when Marcus came home with a different expression. His eyes had a sparkle that Luna hadn't seen since her mother's death. "I met someone today," he said during dinner, almost casually. Luna felt her stomach tighten. Isabel was an interior designer working on a joint project with Marcus. She was tall, elegant, and had long dark hair, the complete opposite of Katharina, who had been small and blonde. At first, Marcus only mentioned her occasionally, but soon the professional meetings turned into something more. "I'd like you to meet her," Marcus said to Luna one evening. "She's a wonderful woman, and I think you might like her." Luna nodded silently, while everything inside her resisted. She was 13 now, old enough to understand what this meant. The first meeting took place at a restaurant. Isabel appeared in an expensive suit, perfectly made up, with a radiant smile. "Luna, I've heard so much about..." She greeted the girl enthusiastically and hugged her before Luna could react. The heavy scent of her perfume was overwhelming. During dinner, Isabel tried very hard. She asked Luna questions about school, her hobbies, her friends. She laughed at the right moments and made the right comment. But Luna sensed something false in her perfection, an underlying artificiality she couldn't quite place. "She's nice," Luna later told Aunt Victoria, who was eagerly waiting for her verdict. "Too nice." Victoria nodded understandingly. "Give her a chance, little, but never forget that you have the right to your own feeling." The relationship between Marcus and Isabel developed quickly. Soon she was spending weekends with them, bringing small gifts and trying to fit into Luna's life. She suggested shopping trips, wanted to help Luna with makeup, tried to be a sort of big sister. Then, one evening, Isabel revealed that she had 2 children of her own. Noah, 9, and Sophia, 7. "They live with their father," she explained, "but I could have custody if I could show a stable family." The look she gave Marcus was unmistakable. Luna watched as her father blossomed under Isabel's influence. He laughed more, went out regularly, bought new clothes. On the surface, everything seemed perfect. A man finally finding happiness again after years of grief. But there were moments that troubled Luna. How Isabel accidentally moved Katharina's photo on the mantelpiece until it was barely visible. How she made subtle comments about modern furnishings while looking at the old furniture Katharina had chosen. How she began changing the family rituals that Luna and Marcus had developed after Katharina's death. We need to look forward. Isabel often said, "We can't change the past." She would stroke Luna's hair as she said this, a gesture meant to be maternal but feeling more like a claim of ownership. One Saturday afternoon, Isabel brought her children for the first time. Noah and Sophia were loud and lively, used to being the center of attention. They ran through the house, touching everything, asking endless questions. Luna retreated to her room, overwhelmed by the sudden invasion of her quiet world. "They're part of our family now," Marcus explained later. "We need to give them a chance." Luna nodded mechanically while watching Sophia play with her old doll, one of the few things she still had from her. Isabel spoke more and more frequently about moving in together, about a real family, about new beginning. Luna felt the noose tightening around her previous life, while her father, blind with new happiness, seemed to notice nothing of it. Isabel and her children's move happened gradually. First, it was just a few pieces of clothing, then some toys, finally whole boxes. Luna helplessly watched as her home changed day by day, as unfamiliar objects took over familiar places. "We need to make some changes," Isabel announced one Sunday morning. "The house needs a fresh coat of paint, new furniture, a more modern look." She had already spread out catalogs and color samples. Marcus nodded enthusiastically, while Luna felt her stomach tighten. Every change felt like another step away from her mother. The first major conflicts arose over Luna's room. "Noah and Sophia need more space," Isabel explained. "Your room is the largest upstairs. It would be perfect for them." Luna protested strongly, but Marcus supported Isabel's suggestion. "Be reasonable, Luna. You could move into the guest room. It's very nice too." The guest room was small and dark, overlooking the neighbor's wall. Luna packed her things in tears while Noah and Sophia were already excitedly running through her old room. Aunt Victoria, who had come to help, pressed her lips together but said nothing. The changes continued. Isabel began rearranging the family photos. Pictures of Katharina gradually disappeared from the walls, replaced by new family portraits with her and her children. "We need to make room for new memories," she said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Mealtimes became chaotic. Noah and Sophia were picky eaters, and Isabel only cooked what they liked. The quiet conversations Luna used to have with her father during meals were replaced by loud children's chatter and Isabel's constant reminders about table manners. "You could be more involved," Isabel often said to Luna. "Noah and Sophia need a big sister." But Luna felt like a stranger in her own home. The children constantly invaded her privacy, took her things without asking, ignored her boundaries. One day, Luna came home from school to find her room ransacked. Sophia had been looking for doll clothes and knocked over Luna's jewelry box. The small necklace with the heart pendant, the last birthday gift from her mother, was missing. "It's just a necklace," Isabel said soothingly when Luna, upset, told her about it. "We'll buy you a new one, a prettier one." She didn't understand, couldn't understand, that it wasn't about the material value. Marcus withdrew more and more when conflicts arose. "Everyone just needs to try harder," had become his standard phrase. He spent more time at the office, and when he was home he seemed oblivious to the growing tensions. Luna found her only peaceful moments with Aunt Victoria. "You need to learn to stand up for yourself," her aunt said one day. "Don't let them push away your memories of your mother." But how could she stand up for herself when her own father wouldn't support her? The situation escalated when Isabel suggested removing the old secretary desk from the living room, her mother's favorite piece, where Katharina had spent hours writing letters and making entries in her diary. "It doesn't match the new style anymore," Isabel argued. "Besides, we need the space for a larger TV." Luna protested strongly, but Marcus gave in. "Your mother would understand that things need to change," he said tiredly. That night, Luna cried herself to sleep while downstairs in the living room, Isabel was already browsing furniture catalogs. Luna woke up one morning to find that the last large photo of her mother had disappeared from the hallway. In its place hung a modern piece of art that Isabel had chosen. It was as if Katharina was being erased from her own house, piece by piece. The turning point came on a rainy Saturday afternoon. Luna was sitting in her small room, flipping through her mother's old photo album, when Isabel came in without knocking. "Luna, I think it's time we put away these old things," she said in her usual sugary voice. "It's not healthy to constantly live in the past." Luna clutched the album protectively to her chest. "These are my memories of my mother," she said with a trembling voice. Isabel sighed theatrically. "Darling, I know it's hard, but you need to let go. I'm your new mother now." These words hit Luna like a blow. "You will never be my mother," she screamed. "Never!" Her voice echoed through the house. Noah and Sophia, playing in the hallway, froze. Marcus rushed up the stairs. "What's going on here?" he asked, alarmed. Isabel already had tears in her eyes. "I'm just trying to help," she sobbed. "But Luna makes it so hard for all of us. She simply doesn't want to be part of our new family." Luna jumped up. "Family? You come in here, take over our house, erase every memory of Mom and call that family?" Her voice cracked. "You've even put away her pictures, sold her furniture, and Dad just lets you do it." Marcus's face hardened. "Luna, that's enough." Apologized to Isabel. But Luna couldn't be stopped. Years of pent-up feelings burst out of her. Apologize? For what? For not wanting to forget my mother? For not wanting to watch this stranger destroy everything that's left of her? She turned to her father. "Have you forgotten Mom so quickly? Was she worth so little to you?" Isabel seized the moment. "You see, Marcus? This is exactly what I mean. Luna needs professional help. She simply can't handle that you're happy again." She placed a hand on his arm. "Maybe it would be better if she stayed with her aunt for a while, until she calms down." Luna looked at her father, waiting for him to defend her, to finally see what was happening. But he remained silent, his gaze fixed on the floor. "I hate you," Luna screamed and ran from the room. She stormed down the stairs, ignoring Noah's and Sophia's shocked faces, and ran out into the rain. Soaked and sobbing, she arrived at Aunt Victoria's. Victoria wordlessly took her in her arms, helped her out of her wet clothes, and made her hot cocoa. Only when Luna had calmed down somewhat did she ask what had happened. Luna told everything. About Isabel's constant attempts to erase Katharina's memory, about the disappeared photos, about the comment about wanting to be her new mother. Victoria listened silently, but Luna could see her hands clenching into fists. "She's manipulating Dad," Luna concluded. "And he doesn't even notice. He only sees what he wants to see, his perfect new family." Victoria nodded grimly. "Your father is blind with love, but that doesn't give him the right to treat you this way." In the evening, Marcus called. He sounded tired and irritated. "Luna, you need to come home. We need to resolve this as a family." Luna looked at her aunt, who firmly shook her head. "No, Dad," Luna said firmly. "I'll only come back when Isabel stops erasing Mom from our lives. If you don't understand that, then—" Her voice broke. Luna fell asleep in Victoria's guest room, while downstairs her aunt had a very pointed phone conversation with her brother. The conflict had reached its peak, and now all involved parties had to show their true colors. A week passed with Luna staying at her aunt's. Marcus called daily, but the conversations were brief and tense. Isabel sent messages full of reproachful words about family harmony and forgiveness, which Luna deleted unread. One Sunday morning, Marcus unexpectedly appeared at Victoria's door. He looked exhausted, as if he hadn't slept for days. "Can we talk?" he asked Luna. "Just the two of us?" Victoria nodded encouragingly at Luna and left them alone in the living room. "Isabel only means well," Marcus began, but Luna interrupted him immediately. "Stop, Dad! Stop defending her constantly! She's erasing Mom from our lives and you're letting it happen." Her voice trembled with anger and disappointment. Marcus rubbed his eyes tiredly. "She's my chance at a new life, Luna. Can't you understand that, after all these years of grief?" Luna jumped up. "And what about my life? What about my feelings? Yes, Mom is dead, but that doesn't mean we have to forget her. Nobody wants to forget your mother. Marcus tried to placate, but Luna laughed bitterly. No, then where are her photos? Her books? The secretary desk? All gone because your precious Isabel wanted a fresh start. A long pause followed. Outside, they could hear Victoria bustling in the kitchen, probably trying to give them privacy while staying within earshot. Isabel proposed to me yesterday, Marcus finally said quietly. Luna froze. She wants us to properly move in together, become a real family. She would get custody of Noah and Sophia. And what about me? Luna whispered. Am I not family to you anymore? Tears ran down her cheeks. You have to choose, Dad. Either you stand by me, your daughter, or by her, but I won't watch her destroy everything that's left of Mom. Marcus stood up and went to the window. Luna, you're giving me an impossible choice. Luna shook her head. No, Dad. Isabel is giving you this choice. I'm just asking you to remember Mom and what family really means. At that moment, Victoria came in, holding a cup of coffee. Marcus, she said seriously, do you remember the promise you made to Katharina? That you would always put Luna first? Marcus turned around, tears in his eyes. Of course I remember, but is it fair of Luna to demand that I give up a new love? No, said Luna calmly. I'm not asking for that. I'm only asking that you don't let this new love destroy everything we had. That you don't let Isabel erase Mom from our lives and put her children above me. Victoria set down the coffee cup. You have to decide, dear brother. Either you find a way to unite both worlds without sacrificing one, or… She left the sentence unfinished. Marcus sat heavily on the sofa. Isabel won't accept that, he said quietly. She wants a complete fresh start. She says the old memories are just weighing us all down. Then you have your answer, Victoria said gently. A woman who demands that you sacrifice your daughter and the memory of her mother doesn't love you, but only the idea of what you could be. The silence that followed was heavy with unspoken truths. Outside, it began to rain, the drops drumming against the windows like a quiet heartbeat. I need time, Marcus finally said. Time to think. He stood up, kissed Luna on the forehead, and walked to the door. In the doorframe, he turned around one last time. I'm sorry, sweetheart, I'm so incredibly sorry. Luna stood at the window and watched her father walk through the rain to his car. She didn't know if she had just seen him for the last time in her home, or if this was the beginning of something new. The decision now lay with him. The next few days passed in tense silence. Luna stayed with Victoria, went to school from there, and tried to concentrate on her classes. From her father came only a brief message. I need to sort some things out. Please give me time. On the fourth day after their conversation, they heard from the neighbors that Isabel had moved out with Noah and Sophia. She had ordered a moving truck and taken her things, in a chaos of tears, accusations, and slammed doors, as Mrs. Weber from next door reported. Luna didn't dare to hope. Too often in recent years, she had learned that hopes can break. But then, on a Friday evening, Marcus stood at Victoria's door again. He looked different, older perhaps, but also clearer, as if he had walked through a long fog and finally found daylight again. Can we talk? He asked again, but this time his voice was firmer. Victoria led them to her study and left them alone, not without giving Marcus a meaningful look. I made a huge mistake, Marcus began. I was so obsessed with the idea of being happy again that I didn't see how unhappy I was making you. He took a deep breath. Isabel is gone, for good. Luna sat quietly, waiting for more. She wanted me to choose, either her version of our future or no future at all. Marcus continued. And that's when I realized I already have a family. You, Luna, and the memory of your mother. He pulled something from his pocket. It was the small necklace with the heart pendant, the last gift from her mother. I found it in Isabel's jewelry box, he said quietly. She had it all along. Luna took the necklace with trembling hands. She wanted me to forget, she whispered. Marcus nodded. I know, and I allowed it, but that's over now. He told her how he had come home after their last conversation and had begun to really see The missing photos, the changed rooms, the way Isabel had subtly but consistently redesigned everything. It was like waking up from a dream, he said. A dream where I was so desperately searching for happiness that I almost destroyed our true happiness. The confrontation with Isabel had been intense. She had raged, cried, threatened. But in the end, she had realized she had lost. She said she couldn't be with a man who lived in the past, Marcus reported. But I told her it wasn't about the past, but about respect. Respect for you, for your mother, for our memories. Luna felt something release inside her, a tension she had carried for so long. Can we go home? She asked quietly. Marcus nodded. Yes, and the first thing we'll do is put Mom's photos back up, all of them. Victoria, who had naturally been listening at the door, came in and hugged them both. It will take time, she said gently. You both need to find your way back to each other, learn to talk honestly. But you've taken the first step. In the following weeks, Luna and Marcus began to make their home theirs again. They brought the old secretary desk back from the basement, hung Katharina's pictures back up, and one day Luna found her father looking through old photo albums, smiling. They talked a lot about Katharina, shared memories they had long suppressed. Sometimes they cried together, but they were healing tears. Luna learned that you can honor the past while still looking forward. And Marcus learned that true happiness doesn't mean throwing away everything old, but integrating it into something new. On her 14th birthday, Luna stood before the large photo of her mother in the living room. She wore the recovered heart necklace and felt for the first time in a long while that warm feeling of home again. Beside her stood her father, a hand on her shoulder, and together they looked at Katharina's smiling face. She would be proud of you, Marcus said quietly. Of both of us, Luna replied and leaned against him. They both knew the path wouldn't always be easy, but they would walk it together, with the memory of Katharina as their compass.